Well, hello everyone, and welcome. If you are new to the channel, I hope you will enjoy your stay in viewing this channel. If you are returning, welcome back, and I hope you continue to enjoy the information that I am talking about on this channel. Today's video, I am really excited, very excited. Why, you ask? Well, today I am going to give a review of, yes, I am going to give a review of my cat. Nah, no, I'm not. I am actually going to give a review of the AM5 mount by ZWO. Now, you might have heard me talk about this mount in some previous videos and how I was really excited, but I don't have enough information to do a review. Well, now I have more than enough information to do a review. So much so that I am breaking it up. I am breaking it up in a review for planetary observation, and I have a review for deep space observation, because I'm finding that I am doing it a bit differently. Now, not everyone does it how I do it, but I have branched off and using it in different ways based on whether I'm doing planetary observation. That accounts for both. Well, it doesn't really count as much for visual, but when I do planetary photography, I'm using it a bit differently than I do for deep space. And therefore, because of that, and because how I'm using it differently and what I'm using it with, I decided to break it up, and therefore it'll be a part one, which will talk about planetary usage, and part two, which would be deep space observation and usage. Okay? All right. So now let's get started. Okay. Now, the first thing that you will notice looking at the AM5 is that there is no counterweight. And what that symbolizes is that this mount can be used both in an equatorial way and as in an azimuth way. Now, what that means is that equatorial means that the telescope is aligned with the position of the Earth as it rotates around the sun. Now, basically what that means is you might think of the Earth like this as it rotates around the sun, and actually if it was like this, we wouldn't get seasons, because the sunlight as it hits the Earth would be consistent. Therefore, as it rotates around the sun, there wouldn't be any change in weather. Well, change in seasons. The Earth is actually rotated as it rotates around the sun, and because of that slight slant, that's what causes the change in seasons. Now, because of that, your position is actually like this. And an equatorial mount, if you see it slightly slanted, is to match that rotation in the night sky. That allows for the telescope to track objects across the night sky. So that's why a lot of people, especially if they're into astrophotography, prefer equatorial mounts. But the AM5 can also transition to an azimuth mount, which is basically it's aligned with your position. It's flat. It's best way I can describe it is that flat floor, flat telescope. It's aligned. It's basically aligned, and you can look at it. You don't need to track anything. It's just you can do visual astronomy, and everything is good. Everything is good. This telescope allows you to transition the both, which is great. Another thing is that it doesn't have a counterweight. Now, let's say you're looking at the AVX, and I do have a video over a review of the AVX, and you'll notice that the AVX has a counterweight. Well, that's to take into consideration the weight of the telescope, because the weights have to be equal in order for the telescope to work. Well, the AM5 actually does not need a counterweight until the weight of your telescope, which is pretty heavy, which would have to be pretty heavy to do this, is about 28 pounds. So once the telescope that you have exceeds 28 pounds, then you'll need to have a counterweight for the AM5, which is great, which is very convenient, which leads to the overall of it being very light. Now, it does come with a tripod, which is useful. Now, I will say that the tripod is rather short. It doesn't hinder anything, but if you look at the, let's say, AVX again, that is a much taller telescope. Now, I will say that when it comes to visual, forgot before I go into the visual astronomy, it does come, and excuse the mess, it does come with a small control. Now you might be thinking, oh, this is not that complicated. Where does all the action happen? Again, the point of reference that I'm using is the AM5, AVX. And you look at the AVX, your mount can allow you to do all these things. It allows you to go to, put in coordinates, put in the longitude and latitude of your position, and it allows you to do everything. Well, the AM5, everything happens on this or on this. It comes, or you're able to download an app that allows you to connect your iPad or your iPhone to your AM5. Now, the good news is that you do not need to know the longitude and latitude. As soon as you open up the app, and I will do a demonstration in a minute, it will provide the longitude and latitude. The second thing is that it is a sky tracking app. It provides a map of the night sky, and at that point, well, first you should polar align. But I found you really don't need to polar align. It makes things much easier, but it is still pretty accurate if you don't polar align. Although you should at least line it up with Polaris. I will say that. And where Polaris is. But let's say you're not able to polar align, or you're in an environment with a lot of light pollution and therefore it might be difficult to see Polaris. If you take some fiddling around to get close to where it is, it's still pretty accurate. And even at that point, once you line it up with whatever object that you're looking at and you're asking to track, it will get in the vicinity of other objects you decide to go to. But all that being said, that's the polar line. But if you're not able to polar line, it's still pretty accurate. It will provide you with the longitude and latitude of your location. You do not need to know that. It will provide that to you down to the city, and you're good to go. But it's on the app. You have an app that they'll tell you to download. I'll do a demonstration, and from there, you can take it for a run, or for some observing or astrophotography. So now let's go see the app, see how it is, put it through its paces, and then I'll come back and finish the review. Okay, Well, here's the SkyAtlas app that comes with the AM5. And similar to the SkyView app that I've done a review for, it turns your phone into a star map. And right now you're seeing how you can use it to connect to the AM5. It takes you through the steps of how to do that. It tells you the Latin long, which automatically tells you the Latin long, which means you don't have to set it for your mount. And at this point, what I am planning on doing is showing you, or going to show you, how you can use this app to control the mount. Now, if you've seen my video for the AVX, it has its own separate remote. I do believe that it does come with an app, but I never used it. I had it for a while. But I'm using my phone for this particular mount. And what I'm going to show you is you really don't have to you don't need anything extra, because what you're going to see is that I'm just going to point to an object in the sky, and I will just tap it on my phone, or in this case my iPad, and you will see the telescope move to that object in the night sky. Yeah, my cat decided to leave when it's moving, but as you see, I selected the Andromeda Galaxy, mount went directly to it. Now I'm going to go to another object, and as you can see, well, you just tap on it. Well, you have the option to move to it. You move to it, and next you'll see the telescope go to that object. Now, once you get to that object, if you see on the right hand side, you'll see arrows and track and speed. That also allows you to control the telescope from your phone. You really don't need the control that comes with the app. As I mentioned earlier, it's not really that efficient. You can use your phone. You can use your phone to do everything with this app. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can move your telescope, do some corrections. You can ask it to track. You can ask it not to track. And in this particular moment, I'm just pushing it through its paces and trying to show you that your phone or your iPad or your Android phone or your iPhone is now the controller for the mount. I think it is a really good feature to have. I think it provides you with a lot of options. I think one thing that happened to me, however, is that I didn't like my phone being the control for my mount. Not that I don't think it's a good idea. I just thought, well, what if I have a phone call? What if I'm doing all these things? And therefore, I just decided, well, I'll have my iPad do it. So my iPad is really the control for my telescope. Right now, you're seeing me go through, just like with the SkyView app, it has the options of the different astronomical objects, and it will tell you where to go, how to search. It's not as organized as SkyView, which I think is one of the best sky chart apps available, but it does its job. And you're seeing me just zoom out, zoom in. You can control it so that the phone, similar to SkyView, you point to it in the night sky, or you just have it stationary. Now what you're seeing me do is, let's say you're done, you want to set it back. You see it'll say home position. Well, what that does is that it will center the telescope. So you can see I selected home position, which is basically it pointing to the North Star, and that's pretty much it. And there's the overall review of the mount. No. I am not finished. Okay, so for planetary observation, there's my cat. For planetary observation, that's all you pretty much need. Now, if you're interested in planetary astrophotography, you have two ways you can do it. You can use your laptop and various software out there to take pictures, or you can use the ASI Air Plus. I will do a separate video on this, but that allows you to fully control, well, not fully control, but it allows you to take pictures. The thing about it though is that I really don't like using it for planetary observation or planetary astrophotography, and therefore I still use my laptop. So that's probably a con with the system, is that one, the ASI Air I really don't find it useful for planetary astrophotography, and it does tie you into the ZWO system. I like their products, but that some people like to have variety. So I'm just throwing that out there. But overall, I really do love this mount. Now, there are some cons to this. Now, the pros are that it's very user friendly. You can use an iPad or your phone to control the mount. So that's technically, while that's a pro, that also can be a con. The controls that do come with the mount are not the best. So therefore, if you lose or you don't have your phone on you, you don't have your iPad on you, unless you have star maps and trackers or pointers, it can be very difficult because it needs your phone or your iPad or any type of tablet to fully take advantage of the mount. I will say that. But it is very light, extremely light. That's the best thing I love about it, is that it is light. I do not need a counterweight. It can be used as a equatorial mount, an azimuth mount. I really do love that feature of it. Although I don't use azimuth anymore, I'll use strictly equatorial. Doesn't matter. It can go back and forth to fit whatever needs that you want. The primary con, though, is that it is not cheap. It is pretty expensive. It is pretty popular, and therefore, if you spend the money for it, you want to use it. And therefore, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't use it, but if you're spending that kind of money, but that's something to be said. It is very user friendly, and I know some people who are in astrophotography or astronomy want more of a challenge in using them out in order to find things in the night sky and be able to track things. I'm all about ease of use, but that technically isn't a con, but I just want to make sure just to throw that out there. So overall, I love the mount. I highly recommend it for planetary observation and planetary astrophotography. I think the pros are that it's extremely light, don't need a counterweight. You can use your phone or iPad, especially an iPad I found is very useful because you have a much larger screen, you can see what you're doing. It can switch between equatorial and off azimuth mounts. It is very easy to carry around, and it allows you to easily track objects. The cons, though, are that it is very expensive. Depending on what you use, ties you into the ZWO ecosystem, which some people may or may not like. If you don't have a phone or you don't have a tablet, you can't fully use it at that point. And therefore, I do think the pros... Wait, oh, just one more pro. You don't need to know the longitude latitude. You don't need to know that. I know for the AVX, you have to know that. You have to know what the longitude latitude is. So you have to look it up. You have to go on your computer, hope it's accurate, and type it in order for it to find the information. You don't need to know the longitude and latitude. It knows where you are. Once you plug into your iPad or your phone, not iPad, your tablet or your phone, it will know where it is in terms of the longitude and latitude. So that's the good news. So that's also a good thing. And therefore, I do believe the pros outweigh the cons, and the primary con being it's rather expensive. But because of the things I've said, you're probably going to use it a lot. So I think it more than justify the cost. And that is the review of the AM5 for planetary usage. I will say that for deep space, it becomes a lot more complicated because with the app that they have you use, you can't really use it for deep space because you need to be able to track it. That's where the AM5, that's not the AM5, that's where the ASI Pro comes in. So when I do the deep space review, I'm going to talk about that and using it with the AM5. All right? Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the review. Please leave any comments and questions in the comment section, and I will see you again.